This is the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast. My name's Nick.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here this week all by ourselves.
No guest.
No guests, just you and me hanging out.
Yeah.
You haven't been here since our live show that we did.
In December.
Yeah, which feels like forever ago.
It does feel like forever ago. Yes, but as some of you heard, I had a mom that ended up in the hospital from Thanksgiving until Christmas. And that really took an enormous amount of our time. And then it's just been winter. Mm-hmm. And, you know, here in Wisconsin, it's always a little bit hard for me to get places in the cold. And you have held down the fort without me, and I appreciate that.
It's been difficult, but we've had some good guests in the meantime and just kind of keeping us afloat here.
Yeah. But I'm back.
And we don't have the coronavirus.
We do not. Actually, knock on wood, my entire house is healthy.
Oh, good. Mine too.
Yeah.
Now, 2 Boston Red Sox players are in quarantine in their Florida hotel. I yelled at you last week about your phone, and now this week.
Yep, it's yours.
Yeah, it is. So let me go and turn that off. That's annoying. 2 Boston Red Sox players are quarantined in their hotel room right now because they have suspicions of corona-type virus symptoms. So that's not good.
Were they in China?
They are foreign players. So I think they were playing in maybe the Korea area or something in the fall or
in the
winter ball.
Months.
Yeah,
okay.
I guess.
Okay.
So that's going on. So we've had a couple things happen. Dive into the baseball one real quick. Have you been following the Houston Astros sign stealing scandal from 2017?
I have caught glimpses of it. I, of course, don't follow baseball as religiously as you do, but there was something about banging on trash cans is really what I've heard, and that they were somehow telling the pitch to the batter.
Correct.
By how they were banging on the trash cans because they had somehow cracked the other team's code.
Correct.
Now, did they do this in every game?
Every home game.
Every home game. So obviously they're watching hours and hours and hours of the competition's reels.
Yeah, you know, it's not easy to steal signs because they're quite complicated, you would think. But they had their own camera in center field, I guess, and they were relaying signs from the dugout to the batter, and they could tell. But, you know, it's funny. There is a website out there that did analyzation of every single home game and every single pitch to determine whether there was a bang of the drum. And it started off in like April really light. Like there was only 5 to 8 beats per game. But as the season wore on in July and August, there was over 80 to 80, 90 times that they would beat the trash can or make the noise.
So the trash can isn't telling them the signal. The trash can is to look at the batting coach.
No. The trash can tells them if it's going to be an off-speed pitch or not.
Got it.
If it's a fastball, they didn't do anything.
Okay.
But as soon as they were going to throw like a changeup or something, then they would go, and then the batter would hear that and know something off-speed was coming.
Got it.
So it was supposed to help them hit the slow stuff.
Okay.
All right, so here's my take on that. Did you follow any of the punishments or anything that happened?
No idea.
A couple people lost their job. Big whoop. My brother's like, well, you can't punish them anymore. And I'm like, you can. And here's my take on it. I think that this year, the Houston Astros should just not be allowed to compete. The city of Houston, or if they do, their AAA team takes over and plays all their games this year. Now, anybody who was on the team in 2017 should be suspended for the season. Okay? Those Houston Astro players that were on the 2019 roster, that were not a part of the 2017 team.
Okay.
I think they should be allowed to sign a 1-year contract with another team, play the season, and then they can come back next season and, finish out their contract with Houston. But there's got to be some sort of major punishment for cheating. I mean, now this is a baseball that has banned Pete Rose for life for betting on his own team to win when he was managing the Reds. Now, if he was betting against them, I could see. So I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
We've also penalized players for using performance-enhancing drugs like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, 2 of the very best baseball players in the history of the game. We're penalizing them for cheating. Why are we not penalizing these Houston Astros?
I think it's hard to penalize an entire team.
But wouldn't my system of punishment work?
It's interesting because one of the conversations I heard with someone was, is it really cheating if you spend the time and effort to figure out the other team's plays? Isn't that your job to know what pitch is coming? Isn't that a better way to play the game? Now, I'm not saying this is my opinion. I'm saying this is one of the other.
That's another opinion.
I don't really care. But this woman was saying, isn't that the goal of baseball, is to find an advantage and then use that advantage? And so I heard what she was saying, but in the back of my head, I was just like, but still, it's just not nice.
It seems like it took it to a new level. But they've always said that they've always had issues with people on second base from that team relaying a message to the batter. And this has gone on for the history of the game, because when you're at second, you have a direct view of the catcher's crotch, right?
Right.
So you can see the signs. So I don't know. I mean, if it's not allowed, it's not allowed. And if you broke the rules, you should be punished.
I agree.
If it wasn't a rule at the time, Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, then I don't think you should be punished. Because, at that time, performance-enhancing drugs were not punishable. They weren't. It wasn't a rule saying you couldn't take them. It was only after that whole situation that we put those rules in place.
Yeah, but it was still just not nice. That's
To
exactly
use drugs?
Well, right, but that's exactly what this whole trash can thing is. I exploited an advantage, and therefore
we're getting penalized.
Right.
I guess. I don't know. So that's kind of an odd situation, and it's my take on it. If we're going to punish players for doing things that are against the rules or against the norms, then we have to be very
right. Wasn't that whole thing
consistent.
about underinflated balls in football? Is that like
yeah,
the same sort
that's
of
a football
thing?
thing. Yep. And in baseball they've got a scandal too with the juiced baseballs, because my brother's really upset that they have all this analytics. And so every time a new batter comes up, they shift the infield a certain way, because 80% of the time the guy's going to hit it to the second baseman. So they shift it so that there's more people in that second base area. They leave third base unprotected because he's not going to hit it that way. That, to my brother, it's ruined the game. Now, for me, it's just the evolution of the game. I think this is where we've evolved to. But because of that, we're not getting as many runs. Okay, we're not the teams aren't scoring enough. It's not very exciting for the fans, is what they say. So they have changed, allegedly, the ball to make it that you can hit more home runs and you can hit the ball further. And so pitchers now are getting penalized in their career because the ball's going farther and faster and all that stuff. And they are,
right. They take the rise and the fall of the win or the loss.
Their stats are
affected.
Their career stats are affected by the fact that this ball is easier to hit, or I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean. If we're hitting more home runs, pitchers aren't doing as well.
Right.
So, scandalous.
Huh.
That's why I'm not in charge of baseball, I guess.
Right.
I don't know what I would do about any of this stuff.
I just don't care that much.
So let's move on. Celebrity news. We've had a couple pretty prominent people die since we were last together.
Yes.
Kobe Bryant. That was a big shock to me.
That was. Yeah. What was it? Was the day of the Oscars?
Well, it was a Sunday in January, because we had our kids' talent show. And I arrived at the talent show, and my brother-in-law's like, hey, did you hear this? And I'm like, no, that can't be. They're like, yeah, all these websites are saying. I'm like, I'm thinking hoax, because how many times does this happen where somebody's proclaimed dead and they're not?
Yeah, I feel like it was the Oscars.
It probably was.
And because I just remember thinking when I woke up in the morning.
Feeling like P. Diddy.
Okay. But when I woke up, I had only tail end caught somebody saying that the mood was very somber and people were not stopping to talk to the reporters. They were just going inside the Staples Center and just wanted to not have to stop and talk about anything. And then I finally had to ask my husband to Google what the heck was going on. And that's when he said that Kobe Bryant had died in a helicopter accident. And I did just see recently that his wife is suing the helicopter company.
Oh, because it was too windy to be up there.
I think so. Yeah. I think that, well, and of course, obviously she's grieving the loss of both her daughter and her husband.
Now, how do you feel about the fact that Kobe Bryant and his daughter are the main people that in this plane crash? I feel bad that these other families have to constantly hear about those two as if the lives that they lost of their children and coaches and parent and whatever wasn't as important.
Right. And again, I'm not always paying that close attention. But the other people that died, there was some very predominant coach in there of something. And I don't know everyone. Obviously, the pilot died. I don't know everyone else who was on the plane because you're right. The only people that anybody talks about are Kobe and his daughter.
Right, but I think there were 3 other kids, the daughter's same age, that were also on that plane. Very sad.
That is.
And then we had Kirk Douglas passed away.
Yes.
Now, you can't think he's going to live forever, right? I mean, he's not Betty White, after all.
No, but he looked like he'd been dead for quite some time.
That's not nice. You're the nice one.
I understand that, but I mean, please, the man was 101, I think.
I think 103, I believe.
Oh, my goodness gracious, yes. But, it's so funny because he was still quite handsome for 100 and whatever. But I do have to tell you that he had numerous strokes and was very difficult talking, and a lot of things had gone on. But I do believe that the scandal surrounding Kirk is that he did not leave Michael or his other children. He has more children than Michael.
No.
Yes, he does. Any of the children any money, that he left it all to charity. But he also had a lot of charitable foundations and a lot of charitable things while he was alive. And I think that's where the money went.
Right. It was $60 million went to charity. Michael Douglas, of course, doesn't need the money. One of his sons, Eric, has passed away. Joel and Peter are the other 2 sons. And, yeah, they didn't get, I don't think, any of it.
Yeah, no, I did. I don't believe that any of the boys got any of it. And his longtime wife, I believe, had passed away quite some time ago.
I believe that to be true as well. So I don't know. I don't feel bad about Michael Douglas not getting any money. I don't know what the other 2 guys do for their jobs or careers. Maybe they were set up and they didn't need it, and he knew it. Diana Douglas, his wife, died in 2015.
That's what her name was.
But that's just interesting. It's a good thing for him. He left it to charity. I like that. But
yeah, and I believe if I read it correctly on the things that I saw, they were buildings with his name on it. So these were not things that he just woke up and said, "Hey, let's give money to Joe Bob's, auto repair." It was like the Kirk Douglas Hospital and the Kirk Douglas Theater and the Kirk Douglas. I think he sent them all to places that he had already established a relationship, and that the money was then there to keep those doors open.
Now, I can tell you, Joel and Peter are both film producers, so I'm pretty sure they were set up. They're all in that film entertainment business, so they're probably okay. So moving on from that, today we are recording. It's Ash Wednesday.
It is.
And being Catholics, we went and got ashes. Did you get ashes for that?
I didn't get ashes this morning. No, and typically we go to 7:30 Mass.
In the morning?
6:30 Mass. I'm sorry, 6:30 in the morning. And we had been doing it for years and years and years. And then the children spend all day long with people going, "There's dirt on your head. There's dirt on your head." And it was beginning to become annoying.
See, that's the funny thing, because then you touch your cheek or your chin. You're like, "Oh, where? Right here? Right here?"
And so our church this year is doing them this evening at 7:00.
And you're going?
And yeah, so the children have piano at 6:30, like literally a block away.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to go to piano at 6:30 to 7 and then rush over and do the ashes ceremony before we go to bed. And it was kind of funny because Lily had some appointments this morning, and so I don't think it dawned on her like all morning. And literally as I'm getting off the freeway from the appointments to take her to school, she was like, "Oh, Mom." I was like, "What?" Thinking that I'd like hit something or completely forgotten something at one of the doctor's appointments. We didn't get ashes this morning. And I was just like, well, it's 11:00. Thanks for, picking up the pace here, Petunia, but we're going tonight. So we are.
I had a strange thing happen to me as I was coming here to the studio to meet you. I stopped at a gas station to get some milk.
Okay.
And a guy came up to me, and I was getting back in my car, and he holds out his hand like, wait for me. And I'm like, "I don't know you." I'm like, "This is weird." So I rolled down my window, and he goes, you got the ashes? Yeah. He goes, well, and I don't know the word he used, but he's basically like, "Can I have some?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Oh, you're not familiar with that? Like if you have ashes and I don't, that I could do the
Take the
dust to
cross
dust and all
from
that.
you?
Basically, he put his finger on my forehead and blessed himself with the ashes.
I have
Have you heard of that happening?
never,
I've
ever,
never had that done.
ever.
I mean, he was a normal looking guy, but I was like, I'm not sure what you're doing. I was very reluctant.
I don't like you touching my forehead or stealing my ashes, quite frankly. But I do find, again, I don't know that we're the only religion that celebrates Ash Wednesday, but this starts our Lent, which is 40 days of, kind of more somberness towards us. And it was kind of funny because, again, I didn't have the ashes on. And as we were talking off camera, I was having a little incident with Land's End before we got here. The customer service was a little bit slow, which is normally not.
Uh-huh.
But these two older women, and I'm going to say probably in their late 60s, early 70s, not like, super old, were going to Benji's because they really needed a Reuben. And I didn't have the heart because, I obviously don't want to assume that the whole world is Catholic, but did not want to point out to them that it was a meatless kind of day. And as I sat there going, gosh, I'm hungry because, we haven't eaten all day.
You're not supposed to say that.
I know. You're not supposed to. You're all supposed to have makeup on and look like you're having a fantastic day, which I do. Showered, put makeup on, and then, have drank my way through the day with water and tea.
Oh, I was ready to drink my way through the day this morning with something else.
I'm not sure that's allowed.
No, it's probably not. It's probably frowned upon.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to something else. Shark Tank star Barbara Corcoran. I don't know if you saw this story. She was scammed. Remember how I told you many weeks ago that my dad was scammed?
Yeah.
Barbara Corcoran, smart businesswoman, scammed out of $400,000 this week.
$400,000? I hope the FBI's in on this one.
So email scammers used a tiny little typo to make Barbara think that she was conversing with her assistant. And basically the assistant said, hey, this is a bill that's ready to pay. Go ahead and pay it. $388,700 she sent to pay this invoice for something that, wouldn't you look into that? Or does she pay this amount of bills in this amount on a regular basis?
I guess I'm going to have to say she probably pays that amount in a regular basis that you wouldn't question. And it's an odd amount because it's and 11 cents, so it's not like I need $350,000. I mean, you're saying it was a very specifically odd amount. And I suppose, I mean, truly I'm thinking about my husband. I pay all the bills. And if somebody sent him something that said, you need to pay this, and I wasn't around, say I was on vacation or something like that, I think that I would hope that he would be smart enough to ask, but I feel like he would be like, oh, this is due, we got to pay this.
Well, TMZ reports that Barbara does invest in real estate on a frequent basis and to companies in Germany. So she really did think that, the bookkeeper said, oh, this looks legit. She approved it. So the bookkeeper did fire off the payment because she thought it was legit. And unfortunately, it looks like the money's gone, and they traced it back to a Chinese IP address.
Well, and we kind of got scammed over Christmas.
How? Did I hear about this?
No. The kids wanted earbuds for Christmas.
Okay.
And I didn't want all these white earbuds that everybody else had them. And so I found this place online that had them that looked like galaxy stars, and it looked like all these different fire things, and they were really cool. They were, they had great reviews of all these fantastic things, and I had been looking at them for a while. And so I said to my mother-in-law, this is what I would like you to get the children for Christmas, these earbuds. And I'm going to make it up and tell you they were $50 a piece.
Okay.
And in my Facebook feed came up those exact earbuds, which are very unique in their, style and look and things like that.
Are we talking about the ones that look like Apple?
Yeah, they're like those kind of ear pods, except these look like galaxy stars or fire. So they're not white.
Okay.
That when you put it in, it looks like you got fire coming out of your ears, and the boxes looks like fire or like galaxy stars. And again, it came in my Facebook feed. It's the exact same company. It appears to be the exact same company. And this is Black Friday. And so it comes up as Black Friday sale, 2 pairs for $40.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking, oh, fantastic. So I order the 2 pairs for the kids, and then out of my mother's-in-law's money, and then I order 2 pairs for myself, thinking that, we're going to lose them. So
we better have some
we
backup.
better have some backup.
Yep.
And again, we're spending $80. And so we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and both of us got a credit card charge. And both of us, there's a phone number on the line
Okay.
item thing.
Seems legit.
And so we wait and we wait and we wait, and nothing came. So she calls, and it immediately goes to a voicemail. And so this is November 25th is the date that both of us got charged.
Okay.
So December 25th, it's Christmas now, and there's no earbuds have shown up. And sometimes occasionally I do end up with things from China, and they take longer than, Amazon. They're not here tomorrow. And so no Christmas present for the kids. So I call the number, goes right to voicemail. I say, hi, I ordered 4 pairs of earbuds. I really need to call back, blah, blah, blah. But it's not like, hi, you've called Joe Bob's earbuds. It just goes, the voicemail you're calling.
Oh, that's shady.
Yes. And so I have called every month. As a matter of fact, I just called the other day going, okay, it has now been 4 months or 3
but you
months.
could have...
I'm going to call the police now. I mean, now there has to be some
You
recourse.
could dispute the charge, though, right?
Well, I don't think so back from November. I mean, it's been 4 months. So I'm not sure that I can. But again, my thought process is I'm not so mad about the $40 for each of us because it's $80 total, but we can both afford $40 of mistakes. But it's the fact that when I went to go look for those same earbuds, now originally, remember, I had the legitimate company, right? Like I had the legitimate company, and obviously the scammer made the website look identical to it with all of the pieces. When I go to find the original ones and pay the $50 for them, I can't find them.
Oh.
So I can find one online that has them for $59, but the one company that I was looking at the Black Friday sale, I'm going to tell you that there was at least 15 or 16 different patterns on the earbuds and on the boxes. So you could have red, white, and blue, or you could have fire, or you could have night and day, or you could have all these things. The only one I can find online is a place called like Ruin, Rune. Rune.
Okay.
And it has like 4. So again, Lily really wants the ones that are like Galaxy, but I'm so afraid to spend another $60 to find out that they're not a legitimate company.
No actual store carries them?
No. And they don't pop up on Amazon. Like lots of times the things that now show up in my feed, I'll go on Amazon and get them, because even if it's a couple bucks more on Amazon, I know it's going to come, but it was just a very startling thing because like I said, the website was identical to the one that I had been looking at to get them. And I thought, well, it's a Black Friday sale. I mean, why wouldn't it be? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's Black Friday. Why wouldn't there be a Black Friday sale?
Of course it's on sale. It seems totally legit. And you are never seeing that money again.
Right. Yeah. And I do also want to say something about Amazon.
Yeah.
Because the other night I couldn't sleep. And so I was watching PBS's Frontline. And if you've never seen this, it's like an investigative, kind of like Dateline-y kind of thing, but it's PBS's version of it. And it was all on Amazon. And it was on how you need to be careful about who you buy from on Amazon.
Even there.
Yes. And so now, even how I used to, like I just said to you, I would go in my feed, it would see something, and then I would go to Amazon and buy it. They had a couple of former Amazon employees, including like international relations ones, who said you need to be very, very careful because there are a lot of Chinese companies that are on there that are selling things that are not USA approved, meaning that the toys are full of lead or paint, like the pencils that are coming have lead paint on the outside of them, or toys that you have do not fit the U.S. standard. thing, and it's very disappointing because
And licensing too. I ran into a place selling the new Brewer jerseys and sweatshirts and all that stuff, and they look. I mean, they're priced like at $40, and this stuff is normally like 80 or 90.
Sure.
And definitely a Chinese company. I'm like, I just don't. You don't know what kind of quality you're going to get. You're never going to get your money back. You won't be able to return it. It's like, just go with the legit stuff. Pay a little bit more. Get the real thing. Don't have that kind of stress in your life.
Well, and the Amazon people were saying, well, we do our best to try to vet these companies and make sure they're right. And so Oliver just had a birthday a couple weeks ago, and Oliver's not the world's best teeth brusher, as you may recall, based on the fact that he's autistic and doesn't really care for the toothbrush in his mouth. And there are these new things that I think look like mouth guards. And so it's a mouth guard that has lots of little bristles.
Yes.
And then you put it in your mouth, and it's got a timer. And
you don't have to do anything.
No, you just literally stand there. So I ordered them again from Amazon.
Oh, my gosh.
They came from China.
Oh, no.
Not only did they come from China, all the instructions are in Chinese.
You do not want to put that in your mouth.
Well, we boiled it, so I feel okay about it. But we did, like a mouth guard. And so, but the thing that the Amazon people were saying is if it doesn't come from Amazon.com, and I realize that that's a weird thing to say because you're on Amazon.com.
Yeah, but stuff is shipped from the Amazon warehouses.
Right. And so you need to look where it's coming from in order for them, to back it up. And the other thing that they talked about is like never, ever, ever, when you walk into Walmart or Target, do you sign your rights away to go after Walmart and Target if something were to happen. You signed your rights away the second you signed up for Amazon.
What?
Read the fine print. That's one of the things they were talking about. They said, never, ever, ever do you sign a waiver that says, I have no recourse to go after you if something happens. So, for instance, one of the items that they were talking about on this Frontline expose was a blow dryer that clearly came from China, that the second you turned it on, like if you know what a blow dryer looks like, it has a high and a low. There was just an on, flames come out of it. Not even like, you know, a spark and then flames. It's a flippin' flame blower. And so, like, this woman, you know, plugs in her new hair dryer, gets ready to curl her, you know, to blow dry her hair, and it sets her entire head on fire. And she actually has no recourse with Amazon because one of the things that they pulled up on this thing was that you signed their agreement, and clearly in the agreement it says no matter what product or item I receive, regardless of its ability to perform its thing or whatever it is, Amazon is not liable.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, like, you think that everything is super fantastic because it's Amazon. And then there was a whole nother...
I can actually see how Amazon wouldn't be liable because they are just the intermediary. But should they have an obligation to fish out these bad products and these cheap knockoffs, maybe they need to do a little bit better job.
Well, he does say that they do, you know, obviously make every attempt, you know, to do this, but...
I don't know how, because I sell things on Amazon. I'm a seller of my videos and stuff.
Sure.
I have instructional videos and stuff. How did they know what's on the disc? You know, I could be selling how to build a nuclear bomb on my How to Hula Hoop DVD, and they wouldn't know.
Right.
Nobody's checked it. Like, Amazon didn't buy one or ask for a copy to check the content before I shipped it out. They'd have no idea.
Right. And you could be shipping them out with, like, porn or something in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they don't ever know.
I went away from porn to nuclear bomb. But
yes,
neither are on the disc. It really is How to Hula Hoop. You will be disappointed if you think it's something else.
How to Hula Hoop. But, so they were saying that, and another big part of the special was whether or not Amazon breaks the Sherman Antitrust Act. And the Sherman Antitrust Act is actually one of my favorite things, having an economic degree, is one of my favorite things. And that is that no power can be so powerful that it controls the majority of the market.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Amazon...
That's like the monopoly thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And Amazon claims that it's not because, again, it's not Amazon selling everything. It's you with an account and all these other people account. And their answer was, Walmart can sell online and Target can sell online. And so really, just because people choose to come to Amazon to sell their items. But I did run into this problem at Walmart a couple of Christmases ago where I bought something from the Walmart website, walmart.com. As you recall, did not come from Walmart, and these SOBs would not take it back.
That's
I'm like,
right.
take this back. They're like, we didn't sell it to you. Oh, you did? They're like, no. And so, I think that's kind of becoming the wave of the future, that we have to be much, much more careful about that website that shows up in my Facebook feed, or the website that looks exactly like poor Barbara got completely scammed because it was literally just a little bit off. And 2014, so now 6 years ago, my identity got stolen for that exact reason. Somebody sent me something from Discover that looked identical to my website on Discover. And so I responded with the information that they asked for. And then when we called the FBI and we called the police, and a whole bunch of big mess came into it, because then somebody tried to file my federal taxes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did. They filed federal taxes.
They want your refund.
And they did want my refund, and thank goodness the IRS went, she normally is the secondary. Her husband's usually the primary. So why is she all of a sudden the primary, and there's some dude that's the secondary without any paperwork that says she's divorced or not? So they actually stopped it.
Good.
And now as a result, I don't actually use my Social Security number anymore. We get a PIN number every year for taxes.
I think once you file each year, you get the PIN number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So... But yeah, it's a very interesting thing. And like I said, that website was identical, except it was missing the HTTPS. It was the S that was missing. And so if it doesn't have the S, that means it's not secure. So don't do it.
My favorite one that comes in all the time on my work email is when we get a fake email from the priest. And it's like, do you have time to chat with me right now? Please write me back or something. But I look at the email address, and it was pastoraola@gmail.com. I love it. So every time I see this priest now, I'm like, hey, Pastor Ola, how you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, don't fall for that scammy stuff.
Yeah.
Not good.
No. So I am watching something that I find to be just hilarious. It's on Thursday nights on Fox. It's called Outmatched.
I have seen this show.
It has Jason Biggs and...
Maggie Lawson.
Yes, that's her name.
Playing the mom.
And they are the mom of 4 children. And the opening episode has the 3rd child being tested to be a genius. And they're in the kitchen, almost like shaking dice, please don't be smart, please don't be smart, please don't be smart. And the tester comes in and tells them that this is the smartest kid she has ever tested and has the highest number she has ever done. And the parents' faces just fall oh crap. And then you find out
because they're another one.
Right. Yeah. Because then you find out their 2 older children are off the charts gifted and brainiacs. And then they have
poor little daughter.
Their daughter is dumb as a box of rocks.
The youngest one.
And she is their pride and joy because she is the only normal one there. But what I find to be hilarious, and I don't know on what planet this happens, but they are constantly hiding in their own basement.
Yes.
They've
got a bar down there, recliners.
And they will vanish. And the last episode I saw, they were playing strip poker downstairs. And I don't know where these kids are, but I just find it to be hilarious because obviously these kids are super, super brainiacs. And, they get into all these sorts of trouble because they're too smart for their own good. But then this one daughter, which is their only hope, is just really kind of I'm sure she'd be the kid with the bucket on her head in Parenthood.
Yep.
Who is just kind of running into the walls, kind of doing her own thing. But I just find it to be mindlessly hilarious.
Now, I've been watching a show called Single Parents. Have you seen this one?
No.
This is Brad Garrett. Leading the cast.
Okay.
And it's really about a group of people who have second graders granted, there are 10-year-olds playing second graders. It's a very obvious they're not in second grade, but that's beside the
Anyway.
point. They lost me a little bit there. Anyway, because I have second graders. And my kids are nothing like these kids because they're fifth graders. Anyway, I get lost in the fact that sometimes you think, okay, we're struggling. Like you and I both have admitted to each other, we're
Yes.
struggling with parenthood right
Yes.
now. This is, I mean, it's tough.
We have some
at the
trying
moment.
girls going on here in our world.
Right. So with that aside, you look at these people, not only are they having some easy times with their parents or with their kids, the first thing is they're not hanging out with them much. The kids are all hanging out together and the parents hang out together. But it's like, I'm thinking, how do you have time to do anything that you're doing? Like they're hanging out in this wine shop, like gossiping about different things and talking about their adult lives. I'm like, how do they have time for that? Because like
The
I
kids
have,
are in the wine shop too?
yes, because one of the parents owns the wine shop.
Okay.
Yeah. And but when you picture like your life and then you watch a show and all these people have all this free time, it's like, where do you find all this free time?
Right.
We are running constantly, which might be part of my problem. But to see a show like that where everybody's chill, hanging out, like parenting is so easy, I'm like, oh, this is not real at
I don't
all.
think it exists.
No.
I think that if we polled our listeners, we would find that the majority of them have had some sort of parenting snafu or issue. And that's what I love about Outmatched is because these two parents are pretty much just throwing their hands up in the air going, yeah, I got nothing. Like, I don't even know how to parent these three kids. You know, like I got nothing. And that's, I mean, often how I feel. You know, I kind of pick on you about all the Hallmark Christmas movies that you like to watch.
It's a very idealistic
Right,
life that
right.
these people are living.
And I kind of got sucked into it this Christmas season and
You're
watched
welcome.
a lot of them.
You're
yeah,
welcome.
But it just makes me feel bad because I am never going to have that love affair and I'm never going to walk down that street with a hot chocolate and watch the Christmas tree lighting because I don't know how these people have time to do any of this stuff. Because truly, by the time we have dance on Monday and dance on Tuesday and piano on Wednesday and, you know, I mean, we're exhausted.
Exactly.
And
by 8 o'clock, I'm exhausted.
yeah, I mean, and you and I both teach Sunday school, so we don't even have like Sundays free. I mean, it's like a constant. And I do remember when I got my master's degree, I did it before children, and I did it at night while I was still working. And I remember finishing my master's degree and saying to myself, "Oh my gosh." I'm now going to have all this extra time because I'm not reading a textbook every 6 weeks and writing a thesis and all this stuff. And I think for about a week I did have all this extra time. And then somehow all that time got sucked up with life. And then I didn't have that extra time. And now all that time is sucked up by my children.
And I think about that, like this morning, we had a really rough morning going to school. So as I'm in my office looking at Carline, I'm thinking, I wonder how many of these other parents fought with their kids today or had them to drag them out of bed and like, get up and get dressed. Let's go. We're going to be late. I just wonder how many of them, if it was a majority, had a situation this morning where they're like, come on, we're going to be late.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And it happens
I mean, we
every
missed
morning.
the bus this morning.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I think that's hilarious, especially since you work at the school.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that. But anyway, I don't know. Parenting is tough. These shows make it look so easy. So we go from these shows that have these people in very idealistic situations with like great relationships with their kids and they've got their whole life together. Are you watching The Connors?
I am.
Okay. So this is a show that has completely changed.
Yes.
I think these characters are just not nice people to be with. Like, well, okay, let's start off with Jackie. Jackie was a police officer, right? And now she's just crazy.
She
Like,
is.
She's saying crazy things. Her eyes are bugging out of her head. The storylines with her are just bizarre. I'm like, I would not. That's not a woman I want to be a friend with.
Well, and I think I think when it started out as Roseanne originally, and it was based on the comedy of Roseanne. When Roseanne was a stand-up comic, I really enjoyed her humor.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the first incarnation of Roseanne,
Mm-hmm.
and you did. You kind of looked at him like, oh, you're very kind of lower to middle class. You're not educated. You don't really strive to be educated. And truly, when they rebooted it as Roseanne, I thought, oh, well, that's going to be funny because, Roseanne can be really funny. And obviously there was a controversy, and so she left the show, but Sarah Gilbert was the executive producer, and so she kept the show going. And obviously they killed her off. But I look at them and I think Sarah Gilbert's character allegedly has some sort of degree. She went to art school or something like that.
Yep. But struggling to get a job or have any sort of successful life.
Well, and one of the things that I didn't care for was Becky, who just had a baby in her late 40s or something like that. And then now the whole premise of the new show last week was that Darlene and the boyfriend were going to try to have a baby. And I do think it's a little bit irresponsible in your late 40s to be talking about, how idyllic it is. I mean, as a second-time mom when I was 41, this is exhausting, okay? This is exhausting. If you are 40 and have not had those children, don't do it. Man, I am tired all the time. Yeah. And so I don't necessarily understand why, and one of the things I didn't care about the show last week was that she very animately said, I don't want to have another baby. And then all of a sudden was talked into it. And as a female, I don't really care for that line of deliverance anyway.
Well, and being talked into it is one thing when you're going to have the baby. But once it's here, you can't just be talked into waking up in the middle of the night to feed it or change a diaper. You have to want to do those things.
And you've got, at this point, a child that's out of the house, and then whatever Mark is supposed to be, somewhere like a middle schooler or something like that, to start completely over. And although it was funny, she made him sign something that said,
that he's going to do, if they get divorced, you get all the kids, including the two that aren't his.
You get sole custody. Yeah. And he's like, wait, of all of them? And she's like, yes. And so, although it was funny at the time, it's very flippant about being a parent.
But see, that's my problem with Sarah Gilbert's character on that show. When that oldest daughter moved out of the house and ran away, she didn't really go after her for 3 days. Oh, I'm sure she's fine. Oh my God, I would have the police looking everywhere for her. And then to let her live outside of the home, and
yeah, it's just a weird. It's a
and
weird
then
show.
She's cheating on the guy that she's with the ex.
Yeah,
I mean, this is not a good moral person.
I feel like it's already jumped the shark.
Yeah, right. but for them to, I don't know, for that character and those other characters to have transformed into these very immoral people, yes, I could stop watching the show. I do get that. I know you're saying that in your car right now. Why does he watch the show?
Why are we still watching this?
This is why, though.
Because it's like a car wreck. Like you look anyway.
But I'm also invested. I watched all of those seasons of Roseanne when I was growing up. It was my mom's favorite show. She denies that now, but it was her favorite show. It was the only one she wouldn't miss. But it was like Seventh Heaven. I watched that show from the beginning. So by season 9, 10, and 11, when the show was awful and unwatchable,
when they had jumped the shark,
I had to keep watching because I had already invested all these years.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm still watching the Connors and still just going, oh my gosh, these people.
Right.
So I just thought I would bring up the non-ideal life.
Yeah, it's
that is also portrayed out there.
Yeah, it is. But I think that the majority of them are much more idyllic. And that's why I liked Outmatched, because it really is sort of the reality of the two of them just giving up, going, I don't know how to parent these three. I'm just going to go after the one I know how to do. and the other three will be perfectly fine.
Well, let's end our show today talking about one show that taped its last episode this week. Modern Family just wrapped, and those shows are going to be coming out in the next few weeks, and then that show will be over forever. It's a show that I really loved because it did provide a lot of real problems that people had in a lot of different family situations. I'm going to miss that family, seeing them every week on TV. Were you a Modern Family fan?
I have never seen one.
Are you kidding?
I am not.
I have every season sitting right here. I could send.
No, I'm good.
You will be laughing. Why?
Because I feel like I tried to watch one.
Yeah.
I feel like I got into one and then went, no.
That's weird. I
and
don't think I've ever
away.
met anybody who didn't appreciate that show.
There's tons of ones that are out there like This Is Us. Everyone talks about it. I've never seen it.
Oh, I like This Is Us
I
too.
don't watch an enormous amount of TV. I mean,
Right.
truly, given the option, I'll watch a British murder or comedy over anything else.
Okay.
And so they're, like I said, outmatched. I'm watching only because it comes on after Last Man Standing, and I am a vibrant, outspoken person of Last Man Standing. I love the show.
Yeah, Tim Allen is
and have followed it
amazing.
as it's moved from place to place. And Outmatched just happens to come on after it. And so that's the only reason that I would have watched it or found it in the first place. But on a typical night, I'm not watching like television. Like most
No,
people are.
my TV watching action. I had this conversation with my dad the other day. He's like, "Well, what time is this on?" I'm like, "I don't know," because my TV watching happens between 10 p.m. and 11:30.
Yeah.
And I know you're way long asleep
I've
by
been
then.
sleeping for hours, dude.
But literally, that's how I close out my day, and that's
Yeah.
how I do watch these shows. I don't know when they're on.
Yeah.
But when you're fast forwarding commercials, it's only 22 minutes. So I can literally watch 4 to 5 episodes of something before I go to bed in that 90 minutes.
Right.
So yeah, but I'm going to miss Modern Family. So I just thought I would throw that out there. And I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I
no.
have now met somebody who's not seen the show.
No.
And This Is Us was pretty good too, but I did stop watching that. That took up way too much of my time. Those 1 hour shows are really hard for me because if I've only got a little bit of time to stay awake, it's going to be a 22-minute show.
Yeah, there's many that I have stopped watching. One of them is Grey's Anatomy, and I've been missing like the last 3 or 4 seasons. That I just felt like it just went in a direction that I just don't need to be wasting that hour of my life.
Sure.
And so,
Alrighty, we do have a guest next week. So we will be back with a celebrity guest. And
Yay!
would you like to know who that is?
I would love to.
Okay, next week we're welcoming Lifetime movie star Matt Shevin. He's going to be here talking about his new film that's coming out on Lifetime called Her Secret Family Killer. And that movie is going to be premiering on...
Is it going to scare the bejesus out of me?
I don't think so.
Because some of the Lifetime ones are kind of scary.
It doesn't say when it's coming out, but I'm sure he'll be able to tell us that next week. So Matt Shevin will be here next week, and we hope you are too. Thanks for joining us. And if you want to contact us and give us your opinion about anything that we talked about, we might even share your comments on the next podcast. You can email it to
hello@fancounters.com.
find us on social media. We'll let it be a scavenger hunt, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.